Hello again, this is Mr. Maximus Film. I last saw you guys with my review of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. You can go check that out on my channel. But today I am switching gears, doing Radiohead's The King of Limbs, released 2011, this February, and Radiohead's 2011 album. And this album, The King of Limbs, has received, I think, besides Kid A, the most split between Radiohead fans. A lot of the Radiohead fans really like this album, think it's a really strong point. Others think it's blah, it's even worse than Amnesiac. I think that it's in the middle. It's not the best Radiohead album I've ever heard. It's certainly not sorry about that. It's certainly not the worst either. I mean, all these songs are very, very polished, very sophisticated. I mean, I have no problem with the production or anything, as you would expect with a Radiohead record. So that's all good. But the thing about this album, if you stopped with Radiohead from In Rainbows, and if you haven't heard this album, it's basically like 15 steps. 15 Step, rather, the first song on In Rainbows, with all the songs. 15 Step uses a loop throughout the entire thing, and, builds on that, but all these songs basically have drum loops, which, when you say it, I mean, well, that's what a lot of people just say about this album, the drum loops, and that's it. And I think that you don't give them enough credit. I mean, the drum loops, while they are repetitive and while they could swell with the music, I mean, they're just consistent. They're, they don't change at all, basically, throughout this entire album. I mean, it doesn't bother me for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I don't have a good ear, but it just doesn't bother me at all. I think they're fine. I mean, I feel bad for Phil Stelway, but, I mean, because he's probably not doing a lot on this album because they're just looping him. But I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. That being said, it's not the most exciting Radiohead album. I mean, neither was In Rainbows, in my opinion. But this one, it's kind of like takes the experimentation to a point of Kid A and combining it with sort of the floaty spaciness of In Rainbows. So it's not a very dense album. It's kind of out there. It's very floaty, and just like In Rainbows. But it also has that sort of twisted experimentalism of Kid A. So it's kind of a weird Radiohead album. Until we see later albums by them, I don't know where this is really going to stand in their discography. I don't know if it's a transitional thing or it's just kind of there in some regards, and I have a problem with that. It's not very exciting, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that made any sense, but so the songs, getting into the songs, it opens up with Bloom, appropriately titled for the first song of an album, and it sort of does that. It blooms. It has all these electronical sputters and beeps, and it's very beautiful. I think I really like Tom York's vocals on that song. And I really like the sort of little bass riff that goes throughout the entire thing. It does get repetitive by the end, but I mean, that's what it is. This is electronic music. I mean, that's what it does. This isn't an alternative rock in my opinion at all. It's all basically electronic, and it goes through its way. It gets into really nice grooves. Nice use of syncopation and kind of weird rhythms with that song. It takes a couple listens to you for you to understand what they're trying to get out with the rhythms. And then the next song is, pardon me, completely, Morning Mr. Magpie, which also is a very looped song. That song, I think, is one of the more looped songs on the album. There's just this guitar riff that goes throughout the entire thing. Pardon me. And it creates this sort of nervous energy. And Tom York, the vocals are kind of insulting somebody indirectly, and it's a fun song, and his falsetto on that song is good, as well as Tom York's falsetto always is, and it's a good song. It's a good song, but it's kind of lackluster. I think Little by Little is next, if I'm correct. Yes, Little by Little. Um, and Little by Little, I just don't like that song. That's my. I just don't. I just. It's just when Tom gets into the falsetto in that song with the looping and just everything. It just kind of is just like it's ear fatigue for me, especially that song. I mean, it's just ear fatigue. I get I often skip it now when I listen to this album. It's just the falsetto is like cringing on the album, which I just don't like it, and the whole fact that everything's repeating, bounding in your ears. It's just that song is kind of where you get a little sick of the loops and a little sick of everything when you're going through this album. Feral is an instrumental track, not much to say. A lot of just different bleeps and sputters and electronic beats going throughout it. And kind of choral-like vocalizations from Tom York. There's no lyrics, but it's kind of like weird, coarse sound effects. And it's a good song. It's a good transition into the next side of the album, starting with Lotus Flower, which a lot of people say is where like the whole album just kind of comes together and the band comes in. It's not about loops, and that's true because you get kind of more of a changing drum beat in Lotus Flower, nice sort of synthesizer beginning, and just a lot of Tom York's falsetto on that song is brilliant. I love that song. I love his falsetto. The chorus is pretty good as well with the falsetto. And just, lots of electronic beeps and splutters in that again. After that, it's Codex, which is a piano-driven sort of looping song. A really nice falsetto, kind of just, they use horns in that song a lot. It's just kind of just this bliss. It's one of those blissful songs by Radiohead. Very relaxing, very retrospective, very introspective. It's a very good song. Give Up the Ghost, which is my favorite song on the album. The instruments in the song, they use bird loops throughout the entire thing. And there's this sort of falsetto sort of vocals from Tom York that are sort of weak falsetto sounding vocals going throughout the song. And it's just a beautiful song. There's a beautiful song. There's an acoustic guitar going in there. It's just beautiful. It's one of the less electronic songs on the album, and it's just pure beauty. And then Separator, which is the last song, which makes use of a loop again. And, another really cool bass riff from Colin Greenwood in there. And it's just a really nice ending. When you first listen to it, you think, wow, it's over. That was abrupt because it's only 38 minutes. So you're like, that was it? But it is a good ending, especially the lyric, if you think this is over, you're wrong. It just ties everything together. And there's this little guitar pattern from, I'm assuming Johnny Greenwood in there, that's really light and really, fruitful. It's just a great song to end the album. I really like that as well. So overall, this is not an edgy Radiohead album in any means. I mean, Johnny Greenwood's guitar solos are always kind of very light and, clean and not really distorted at all. And the loops, obviously, are prominent throughout the album. I mean, they could have changed things a bit and not used so many loops, but, it creates this sort of electronic feel, which is good. It's kind of a mellow album for Radiohead, but I like it. It's good. My only problems are Little by Little, and that's pretty much it. But that's an eighth of the album. So, getting into the packaging, you have the King of Limbs, Radiohead, which is an allusion to a tree somewhere in England. I think I could be wrong. Have these sort of weird alien-looking characters in the front. Open it, they have some sketches of different trees and stuff in the disc here in trees, kind of branchy looking hands. And on the back, you have the backwards Radiohead with the track listing. So overall, I would give this album a 7 out of 10. Very good. Very good album by Radiohead. Kind of lackluster in their discography as of this point, though. I know maybe it's a transitional phase, but we'll see. But yeah, that's Radiohead, the King of Limbs. Hope you liked my review. Remember to comment, tell me what you thought of it, say what I could improve on. And if you like my videos, subscribe so you can see them more often and up to date, I guess. And thank you to all who have subscribed already. I think I'm up to 36 subscribers, which is awesome. And thanks to you all who comment and like my videos. So this is Mr. Maximus Film. This is Radiohead, the King of Limbs, and I will see you guys next time.